Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the course of Survey of Major English-Speaking Countries. Today, we're going to learn Chapter 7, The Education of Great Britain. This lecture is about Lesson A, the British Educational System. Many people believe that school is just about teaching children what are often called the 3 R's: reading, writing, and arithmetic. In other words, the purpose of school is to provide children with literacy and other basic skills they will need to become active members of the society. But the purpose of the British education system is also to socialize children. Children are taught practical skills. But in school, they also learn the rules and the values they need to become good citizens, to participate in the community, and to contribute to the economic prosperity of an advanced industrial economy. It is no surprise that the state is heavily involved in deciding when, where, how, and what children are taught. Education in England is overseen by the country's Department for Education. Local government authorities are responsible for implementing policy for public education in state-funded schools at a local level. As one of the most famous educational systems in the world, the British education has a high reputation. Especially the universities and other higher education institutions have an excellent international reputation and educate tens of thousands of foreign students a year from all corners of the world. Many college students perhaps have already known something about how education in Britain used to be in the past, and how even the class differences could be seen in the way people got educated. For example, Jane Austen's famous book, Emma, is about the relationship between a rich young woman who has been taught the womanly subject of the time: reading poetry, playing the piano, sketching, and speaking a little bit French. There is another lower-class woman she befriends with and decides to educate in order to make her more marriageable. Nowadays, education in the UK is compulsory. Children are legally obliged to attend school from the age of 5 to 16. Recently, there are over 10 million full-time school or college students in the country. Parents can choose between sending their children to state schools or to private schools. State schools are funded by the local and central government. About 93% of the students receive free education from the public sector. Since 1990, parents have the right to express a preference for the particular state school for their children. A system of league tables, comparative tables, rank the school according to public examination results, destination of school graduates, and so on, are published in order to help parents make choices. While children usually attend the school they live closest to, now, ambitious parents sometimes move to a different neighborhood in order to be close to a well-performing school. Needless to say, good schools tend to be in the middle-class neighborhood, and it is the wealthier middle class who can most easily afford to move if they think it is necessary. In the private sector, there are independent schools, which are commonly, but confusingly called the public schools. They are called public schools because they were originally seen as public alternatives to having private tutors in rich households. This kind of schools receive their funding through the private sector and through tuition fees, with some government assistance. Parents choose to pay fees in order to send their children to these schools because the quality of education is such that their children have a better chance of getting good universities and getting better jobs when they leave school. The typical great public school, such as Eton, Harrow, Winchester, Westminster, evolved from an institution founded by a single benefactor during the late Middle Ages or Renaissance. From about the 17th century, the upper classes took increasing advantages of the tuition afforded by those foundations. As pupils paying the market rate became more numerous, the schools were increasingly transformed into the boarding establishments. The public schools were seen as preparing students for the Asian universities of Oxford and Cambridge. Not so many years ago, private education was the preserve of the children of the nobility and the rich. Although today, around half of the parents of private school pupils were themselves educated at state schools, there has been a sharp increase in the number of children attending private schools in recent years, owing to the increasing affluence of the middle classes. Some schools offer scholarships for those with particular skills or aptitude to allow students from less financially well-off families to attend. Public schools do not have to follow the national curriculum, and their teachers are not required or regulated by law to have official teaching qualifications. The curriculum from the beginning placed heavy emphasis on the Greek and the Roman classics and continued to do so until well into the 20th century. Organized games were a late development, and the schools tended to adopt the more disciplined, duty-bound, and athletic model. The impact of the public schools in Britain was historically immense. Nationally and internationally, the public schools helped Britain build its empire in terms of a class-conscious code of behavior, speech, and appearance. It sets the standard for conduct in life of officialdom in Britain from the early 19th century to the mid-20s. Up to age 5, children may have some pre-primary schooling in nursery schools, daycare, or playgroup. The government has no obligation to provide such facilities, and so many are private enterprise arrangements. However, the state realizes such provision is important, especially now that many mothers work, and so they provide some financial support. Between the age 5 to 11, students mainly attend state sector primary schools. These schools are mixed schools because they admit both boys and the girls. Primary school consists mainly of first or infant schools for children aged 5 to 7 or 8. Middle or junior schools for those aged 7 to 11 or 8 to 12, and combined first and middle schools for both age groups. If a child attends a nursery class at a primary school, he usually moves up to the infant class at the same school, although it isn't compulsory. Entry to a primary school isn't automatic, and the parents must apply to the head for a place. From the age of 11 up to around the age of 19, students attend secondary schools. More than 90% of the secondary schools are comprehensive schools, which admit children without reference to their academic letters. Such schools provide a general education. Students can study everything from academic subjects like science and literature to more practical subjects like cooking and carpentry. Foreign languages are taught as an integral part of the national curriculum, reflecting the importance of Britain's relationship with Europe. Those children who do not attend comprehensive schools attend grammar schools instead. Grammar schools select children, usually at the age of 11, through an examination called the 11 Plus. Those who show academic potential are admitted to the grammar schools, while emphasis is on advanced academic work rather than the more general curriculum of the comprehensive schools. On the whole, the grammar schools are becoming increasingly rare throughout the country. After 5 years of secondary education, the students take GCSE exams with the full name of General Certificate of Secondary Education. The GCSE exams are the major means of assessing students' progress in their final 2 years of compulsory education. Based on the results, students then decide what kind of education they would like to follow. They have a number of choices. At the age of 16, they can decide to quit school and find a job. Or they can prepare to take exam for university entrance. Or they can concentrate on vocational training. Students who hope to attend university carry on their academic study in sixth form for a further 2 years, and then take A-level exams with the full name of General Certificate of Education Advanced. Most students try to achieve 3 or 4 A-levels in the subjects they are most proficient at. Since admittance to universities depends largely on A-level results, the 2 years spent in the sixth form are very important and often stressful for British students. Other students who decide not to go to university may choose to take vocational training, which provides a broadly based preparation for work or for taking further vocational training.